escorts, call girls, night walkers, etc. What was the weirdest, craziest, funniest experience in your time in that profession? Ex-stripper here. Gave a 2-hour-long lap dance to a guy who wanted me to talk about vacuums the whole time. It's really hard to make vacuums SI. I'm gonna suck you like the Ultra Sucker 9000, only 6 easy payments of 19. Walking in on a client smoking a crack pipe. A guy who booked me exclusively because I looked like his ex. He made me shower with her shampoo shower gel before each booking. One guy always wanted me to wear a balaclava during sex. Yeah, I totally read that as baklava. Which would be hard to wear and way too sticky to be SI. I had a guy pay me to sit on his face and smother him with my butt cheeks. I didn't even have to get naked. He told me his sister used to punish him when he was a kid by sitting on him until he almost blacked out. And now it's a weird fetish. So, throw away because I just started escorting and don't want it linked to my normal life. A guy I last saw a month ago would quote movies while F-king. He was also huge. Both his dick and his weight. He would be F-king and he'd say things like I am the danger. Chaos isn't a pit. It's a ladder. I'd have to press my head into the pillow not to die laughing. Once for the entire hour he just had me repeat "you're a big guy," to which he'd reply "for you." Which he told me is from The Dark Knight Rises. I kind of miss him. Regular. Paid well and F-king hilarious. Congratulations. You got F-ked by the embodiment of 4chan posting. Some guy wanted to watch me stuff a thong into my vagina. Make me come with it in there. And then pull it out. He was going to pay extra to keep the thong. But I tried the feet beforehand and found it unsurprisingly uncomfortable and declined. Male escort for about 3 years. The worst would be having an out call and having to FCK a guy in front of his girlfriend. He loved it. She just glared at me the whole time. I felt really bad about it. I'll always remember the way she sat, staring at me while I had my way with her husband in their bedroom. So sorry. But he paid for it. I just feel bad about it. That was about 10 years ago. In Sydney. Sorry Mrs. Client. I probably had about 200 jobs during that time. That was the worst for unspoken personal conflict. I am for real. I got asked to insert my feet into a guy's ass. Politely declined that job. Sorry about your daddy issue, Eric Foreman. Not me but a friend. A regular client took her and a bunch of other girls to an apartment. The apartment was empty with the exception of a shitty load of balloons on the floor. The girls stripped down to just thongs and had to pop balloons by bouncing on them. Client just stood in the corner and fapped. Man, I would be a prostitute if I only got calls like this. I had a very fat and oddball client randomly start singing opera very loudly to me in his hotel room. He actually had a great voice. But I was cringing because it was so weird for me. Not particularly weird, but lots of clients prefer me to wear leggings and Uggs instead of SI lingerie. Also had a large amount of little people ask me to humiliate them by calling them stupid midgets, etc. Your username had me quite confused. I had to wonder if I've been drunk posting. I had a lap dance in Dublin yesterday. One thing led to another and I ended up explaining to her how steel is manufactured. I used to work nights in reception at an escort agency that had about 50% of the escort adverts. Asian line. Indian. BBW. You name it, in my city. My job was to pick up the phone and offer quotes match the right girl for the right fantasy. Not all liked doing certain things. So one night I get this guy that was looking for a girl that could wear PVC clothing while using a strap-on on him. That wasn't an all-out request. It had happened before. But he also wanted her to sprinkle talcum powder all over him while doing that and bark while they were watching Dog PRN. One of the girls came back to the office one night and told us that her client had gone to the restroom at the start of her booking and came back out with a toilet brush up his butt. He then proceeded to wanting to have sex with her doggy style. That was an interesting job. Former cam girl. A guy asked me to insert my glasses up my ass. Yeah. No. Years ago in New Orleans I was down on Bourbon Street sitting at the edge of a stripper's dance floor and the dancer asked for my eyeglasses. I wouldn't give them to her but my buddies egged me on so I finally gave them to her. She put them on and danced around and we had a good laugh but then she put them up her puss. Took them out and then came back over and put them back on my head. Needless to say they were quite smeared and my buddies nearly fell on the floor laughing about it. This story has been told at countless parties since this occurred back in 1980 when we were in college. Not an escort but a pro-dom. Have a client who eats my pet egg foot shavings. Another who comes in his own mouth and eats it. Another guy who can only come while being tickled. Different guy who loves pretending to be a goat while I go after him with a fake knife. Never a dull day. No throwaway cause who cares. I was a webcam model for some time and have seen and talked to strange people. I once saw a guy suck his own cock. That was interesting. Had a request for my female counterpart to FCK me with the toe end of a high heel. Many fisting requests. Lots of men who wanted us to degrade a tiny penis. A guy once gave us very thorough instructions on how to make me squirt. 'Twas very fun. It did work. We also had a very nice female regular who was into hardcore BDSM. She was our favorite because that was also our specialty. Or while working at a rub and tug place in Mick, I had a guy in his 50s come in who only wanted me to pinch his nipples and rub my feet on his dick until ejaculation. I'm an athlete and do not have fetish quality feet. I told this to him and he said the dirtier, the better. He then had me tell him about f-king other guys while he made disparaging remarks about himself, like, "You're so pretty you'd never do that with an old guy like me." In the middle of me recounting some of my exploits, a certain type of lady is open to this work. He looks me seriously in my face and goes, "You know, you don't have to lie in your stories for me." I laughed so hard. I still don't think that he believed that I was being honest. But he came anyway. My friend's a dominatrix and I just find it incredible that last week she was paid you a cute $400 to squeeze some guy's head between her knees for an hour. Literally just got back from work. I work in a brothel. 2 hours threesome was great, he was up for anything. Me and the girl are going crazy with him when suddenly we talk about pubes. Next minute we're shaving his balls while he's sucking down a smoke L. Wash him off and I sit on his face while she pulls him and he comes everywhere. Loads of other stories but I'm so tired at the moment. Edit. It's so SI when a guy cups. I heard about this dude who wanted them both get naked. They're both wearing sailor hats. Then they get into a jacuzzi filled with Pepto-Bismol. He clips her toenails. And she shaves his buttocks. How much for a party like that? I had a friend, okay. A girl I FK'd for a season, that was a dancer at one of those peep show private booths. She said the most she ever got was $1,000. And then she went on to describe sounding and having to watch a guy do that while masturbating. Both of them. I know that's TTY syntax. Close bracket. Those of you that know what sounding is just cringed. Those that don't, stay innocent. I heard a story from one where some kid came in with his mom to lose his virginity. She was a single mother so it's not as shocking but still I imagine it was just really f-king awkward for everyone involved. Edit. I'm not saying she's a bad mother or anything, I found it less shocking once I found out she was a single mother because that means the kid's dad was probably not around to take him somewhere like that so his mom did it. Emo, that's a pretty great mom even though it would still be weird. Read that as some kid came in his mom to lose his virginity. Weird as FCK either way. I had this scrawny 18-year-old offer to pay me $5 whole to stick his entire hand up my PSSY. Without a glove or even washing. In the dancing booth. I tried not to laugh and kept declining until it was clear he wasn't interested in a lap dance at all. So I left and went to the bouncer. The kid followed me to the bouncer protesting. Insisting that I wasn't understanding his offer correctly. I told the bouncer the kid was trying to buy extras and the bouncer told him to beat it. Then the kid argues with the bouncer and says no. You don't understand. I'm offering her $5. He got thrown out, still convinced there was a misunderstanding. The father of a friend works as a doctor for a government disease control place in Germany. He is mainly dealing with prostitutes and tells some funny stories. Many of the women coming to see him don't give their real name and don't have to. They're categorized just after the name they give and their birthday. One woman once came into the office and just said my birthday changed. Turns out she was never using her own birthday. She always used the birthday of her current boyfriend. Another time he asked me to go to a site on the internet where most of the women in his care advertise. Pointed a finger at a blonde who's got chlamydia. Also told me about a woman who told him that a man wanted her to save all the filled condoms of a whole week of work and buy them of her for $500. That's where she drew the line, and even though it was easy extra money, she couldn't do it. Night walkers. Winter is coming. Prostitutes. Not a call girl per se. I haven't had sex with clients, but I have done video requests for money. I'm exclusive with my boyfriend. Love him a ton and we are both comfortable doing it. A guy requested my boyfriend dress in a suit. I suck my boyfriend to nearly completion. Then my boyfriend had to jack off into his own hand and display his cum to the camera. The guy gave us a list of talking points about his shoes to be discussed throughout the session. A guy requested I chug a can of soda then burp loudly. I expected it to be nearly impossible to chug a can of soda. I'm super sensitive to carbonated beverages and find them difficult to drink, but for some reason it was pretty easy to do. A guy requested I, sort of, hold my boyfriend in different positions. A guy requested I tie my boyfriend to a chair and suck him off. I think the guy was your boyfriend using a different email. Reddit is really horny today. This being asked by username the higher culture 79. Even the highest of cultures throughout history had prostitution. It must be necessary as part of his research. I have a bit of a different side of a story that had to be weird from the prostitute John's perspective. About 20 years ago I had a police scanner. Playing around with it I discovered a certain range of frequencies that picked up cell phones. Most conversations I would hear were very generic and boring. Sometimes a drug deal being made and an occasional argument would be entertaining. Mostly boring stuff. Once I heard a conversation between a prostitute and her female pimp. The prostitute complained that she was disgusted by the old guy she just did. He reminded her of her grandpa. Anyway, the pimp gives her the hotel and room number of the next client. I called the hotel and asked for the guy's room. I said something like, "Hey, when the hooker gets there ask her how grandpa is doing." I kept scanning for a follow-up call but never heard anything. At a wild guess, I'd say the average prostitute's weirdest, craziest story will probably not be funny in any way.